Hey guys, it is Echo here, and I am back for another 911 Lone Star episode review. This week we're going to be talking about Season 5, Episode 10, titled All Who Wander, and we're mainly going to focus on Judd and Marjan. So let's get started.
Mission trip for the last 6 months, so when I get home at the end of a shift and I get to that empty house, it's dark, temptation sets in. And he's really all I got.
And he's always there for us, isn't he?
So the episode starts off with Judd at an AA meeting. You can just tell Judd is lying through his teeth. It's quite obvious he hasn't been sober for 28 days. I love how Owen is there supporting his friend, but I was surprised that Owen didn't figure it out at this meeting that Judd was still drinking. Owen dealt with something similar to this with TK, so I think he would know the signs. But maybe Owen is just trying to give Judd the benefit of the doubt. Either Owen is oblivious or he's given Judd the time and patience to come out with the truth himself. However, in the next rescue, we see Judd do something completely out of line, and that's when things get put into perspective for Owen.
Austin Fire, I'm coming at you! If you can hear me, call out!
So the 126 get called to a fire at a gun and ammo warehouse. There are 2 people trapped inside. However, rescuing them is no easy feat, as the fire is causing bullets to fly everywhere. As the 126 hide behind the fire trucks to avoid getting shot, Judd decides he's going to play hero and go in. At least I initially thought he was trying to save the day and rescue those people. However, he freezes in there. And thanks to Owen, everyone is able to make it out. But that leaves Owen seriously wondering if Judd is on a death mission. Did Judd go into the gallery to commit suicide? But Judd is still saying he's fine. Judd doesn't crack until his next AA meeting, where he receives his 30-day chip. A chip he definitely shouldn't have gotten. Let's watch.
Judgment.
Right.
Lying is part of the disease, but you can't get better until you own it.
Until I own what, precisely?
The rage. I've never been an alcoholic who wasn't filled with it. The harder you try to stuff it down, the more it fights its way out in ways that you cannot control.
Okay. I have some rage. I do. I have some rage.
So Judd confesses everything, and we learn that Judd is living completely alone. His daughter Charlie is living with her grandparents because it was too hard to be at home without her mommy. So Judd is alone. And when Judd is home, it's just him and his demons. He doesn't have his daughter with him to distract him. So that's when he goes to alcohol. This leads Owen to moving in with Judd. Owen can now keep an eye on Judd, and Judd won't have to face an empty house every time he comes home from work.
You lose your faith. The other night, I tried sending Grace a voice text.
Grace, this is me asking you to come home. This is my 911.
I reached out to God and I said, if you're there, will you please give me a sign?
And?
You know what came back?
Nothing?
No, it was worse than nothing.
Yeah.
So not only does Judd have a drinking problem, he's also going through a crisis of faith. He is at the point where he thinks that God doesn't exist. Judd sent a message to Grace that was never delivered. He was hoping for a sign from God, but he didn't get one. I've definitely been through my own crisis of faith before. When you're so hurting and broken and just want a sign for things to get better and it doesn't come, it's easy to lose your faith. But I will say in the end, my faith has come out stronger. I was once told that a mark of someone with strong faith is one that does doubt and questions and wrestles at times. I believe Judd's faith is going to be stronger in the end. And after the next call where Judd saves the Reverend's life, Owen points out that it was a sign. However, at the end of the episode, I think there was an even bigger sign that Judd actually needed.
Thank you, Father.
So after the wedding, which we will talk about next, Judd is home. He is certainly missing Grace. Seeing the couple happy is making Judd miss the times he had with Grace. This led him to almost having a drink. But by the grace of God, lovely Grace called him before he could. God gave him a sign. God gave him grace. Grace saved the day again. Grace is forever an answer to all of Judd's prayers. You know, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like Judd's story was done poorly this season. It still, to me, makes no sense that Grace will leave her family and let her family continue to suffer while she's on a missionary trip. Anyways, that's just my opinion on it. Let's move on to the next part of the review and talk about Marjan.
Look, do I look nervous?
No, but you're Firefox. Nothing makes you nervous.
Just be the man that you are, and they are gonna love you.
Okay.
Go with the green. It makes your eyes pop.
All right.
Okay, I gotta go. I'll call you back.
Go. Was that your sweetie?
Yes, that's my sweetie, but my parents are coming to town, and he's about to meet them for the first.
Early on in the episode, we see Nancy and Marjan over at Tommy's place. If you recall, Tommy has been dealing with breast cancer, and unfortunately the chemotherapy has been hard on her. It's a completely different side of Tommy we haven't seen from her. Tommy has always felt like a strong, independent woman, and here we see vulnerability in a way we have never seen before from her. Tommy is starting to lose her hair from the treatments, and in a touching moment, we see Marjan give her some new headscarves. Also, while over at Tommy's place, Marjan gets a call from her boyfriend, Joe. Marjan has been courting Joe for a while now, and unfortunately, we haven't seen much of it on screen. We learn that Marjan's parents are in town, and he is anxious to meet them, but Marjan is just as anxious. They want to get married, but she's worried her parents won't give her their blessing, which is tradition in that culture.
Right, Marjan?
What is this? Mouse, look at me. Look at me. Are you really okay with this?
I'm okay with this one. Yeah, it's an idea. It's an idea we've been floating around. It's not, concrete. We can talk about it. Let's all talk about it. What do you think?
I think you might want to reconsider.
Well, the meeting doesn't go very well. We really see a different side of Marjan here, a side of nervousness, not one where she's usually very confident and sure. Here she is lacking that. The parents are asking questions about logistics and plans for the future, like how many kids will you guys have, where will you live, those types of questions. Joe seems to know, but Marjan seems unsure. Unsure because she's worried if the plans are not what her parents would want, they wouldn't give them their blessing. She wants her parents' approval so bad, leading her to not stand up for the plans her and Joe have made. And unfortunately, her parents don't give her their blessing.
Beg them for another sit down. Tell them how you really feel. Tell them we need a second chance.
Joe, this is not how this works.
And you don't even want to try? The woman that I fell in love with is a fighter.
Just not with them.
So I guess our entire future comes down to one question. Are you a Firefox or are you a mouse?
Afterwards, Joe confronts Marjan and asks whether she is Firefox or Mouse. Her parents call her Mouse. Marjan was never the confident, fearless girl we know around her parents. And a lot of that is due to the culture she grew up in, with respecting her elders. It appears that Marjan is trying so hard to respect her elders that it's coming at a lack of just being herself. And this all gets put into perspective at a call they end up at. The call makes Marjan realize that there might need to be limits, and that it's time to speak up for herself.
I know you have a problem with him staying at home, but he has already proven that he is going to be an amazing dad. And the truth is, I love my job, and I'm never gonna want to give that up. I know it's not what you want from me. But I hope to God you will give me your blessing because it's what I want from you. And I am so, so sure of it.
Okay.
So Marjan confronts her parents again, and this time she isn't afraid to speak up. She expresses her love for Joe and her job. She lays out her plans in a very confident manner, and she is so sure of herself. And that's all her parents wanted to see. With that, her parents gave her the blessing. I've definitely seen myself in Marjan's place, wanting approval from parents so bad. Even if what the parents might want for my future doesn't align with what I want. But at the end of the day, you yourself need to be happy. Yes, it's nice to respect your parents, but this is your life and you only live it once. Do what makes you happy. Do what brings you joy.
And Joe.
What she said.
Then may Allah bless and unite you in goodness for all your days. You are now husband and wife. Ladies and gentlemen.
So I gotta admit, I was definitely unsure about this wedding. Like, we haven't seen much of Joe, so it was odd to be like, hey, here's a couple you haven't seen on screen much, but let's get them married. But throughout this episode, I was reminded that these two have been courting. They don't live together. They don't really get to touch each other much. I couldn't imagine doing that for so long. So it makes sense to rush the wedding. And it was a beautiful wedding. It was really nice to see a wedding in that type of culture. I'm not familiar with Lebanese culture, so I definitely learned some things. I now want to have a sword to cut the cake if I ever get married someday. And also, Marjan looks stunning. And even the actor, Natasha, who plays Marjan, her dog Cleopatra made a cameo, which was adorable. Overall, it was nice to see such a joyous and happy celebration. Something tells me that these final 2 episodes will be an emotional roller coaster. So at least we got some happiness before that.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Look at you.
So at one of the very last scenes, we see a very touching and beautiful and intimate scene between Marjan and Joe after they've been married. This intimacy is all new for Marjan, so I think the show really captured that in a touching and beautiful way by letting her hair out of the hijab. Fun little fact, my mom loves Natasha's hair and literally told her at the con that she would love to see Natasha in a role where she can showcase her hair. So my mom was extremely thrilled with this scene. But as we come to the end and wrap the character storylines up, I definitely feel like this was a fitting ending for Marjan. It's one I certainly didn't see coming. I thought maybe we'd see her leave the 126 and be a lieutenant at another fire station or something career-wise. I didn't expect her getting married to the love of her life. But as I think more about it, it makes sense. Early on in the show, we learned that she had a fiancé. It was all arranged from back when she was young. Unfortunately, they broke up, and the ex ran off to be with another woman. It left Marjan hurting. Then we see that her ex and that woman had a child, and that upsets Marjan, but boosts her back into meeting guys, where she meets Joe, and the rest is history. She's had a wonderful career, but it was always love that she was missing. Now she gets to have that in the end. And that to me was a perfect ending to her story. So here was my top 5 favorite episodes from the last review. In number 1, we had 5-8 The Quiet Ones and 5-9 Fall from Grace. In number 2, we had 417 Best of Men and 418 In Sickness and in Health. In number 3, we had 3-4 Push. In number 4, we had 4-9 Roadkill. And in number 5, we had 212 The Big Heat. This episode did not make my top 5. I enjoyed seeing Marjan's storyline wrap up. However, I was left disappointed in how Judd was dealt with this season. Therefore, the episode did not make my top 5. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching this review. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments what you thought about this episode. Unfortunately, we only have 2 more reviews left, but we're going to make the most of it. So thank you guys.